Never start a video like this, because the truth is way scarier than anyone was prepared for. Scientists didn't just find a second Earth. They found something living there. And whatever it is, it has already seen us. Before we continue, hit that subscribe button if you love stories that bend science and reality in the most terrifying way. The discovery started like any other routine scan of nearby star systems. Astronomers at the Deep Sky Array were studying exoplanets, flipping through endless readings of lifeless rocks, gas worlds, or frozen planets that could never support anything we know. They were tired, half asleep, and waiting for the shift to end. Then, something hit the telescope. A planet. Not just a planet, a match. Same mass, same gravity, same atmospheric composition. A carbon-oxygen balance almost identical to Earth's liquid water signatures. And a blue-green glow across the surface that shouldn't have existed unless vegetation was present. At first, nobody believed it. The data was scanned 10 times, then rescanned. Even rival observatories were brought in, and they confirmed it. A second Earth, nearly 40 light years away, orbiting a quiet star. But that's not what scared them. It was the signal. The radio telescope picked up a repeating pulse coming from the planet's surface. Not random, not static, structured, patterned, like a heartbeat in code. Scientists assumed it had to be natural. Maybe geysers, maybe electromagnetic interference. Anything except the one thing no scientist wanted to say out loud. Something out there was transmitting. Within hours, the world changed. News channels exploded. Social media flooded with theories. Some said it was first contact, some said it was a hoax, and some said Earth wasn't supposed to find this planet, not yet. But inside the Global Science Council, where classified details were being kept quiet, the real panic had started. The data wasn't just a signal, it was a reply. They weren't just detecting something, something was detecting them. The message had bounced back, with changes in the pattern, like someone or something was answering. That was the moment the world realized. This wasn't discovery, it was conversation. Dr. Leah Hartman, a planetary scientist who had spent her entire life looking for signs of alien biology, stood in front of the data screen and felt the air leave her lungs. She had dreamed of this moment since she was a child, but now that it was here, she felt one thing she never expected to feel: fear. Her hands were shaking as she presented to the council. She zoomed in on the signal spectrogram, showing faint distortions in the radio echo. It looked like static, until she isolated a sound band that none of the instruments should have been able to detect a frequency slightly below the range of human hearing. When she slowed it down and boosted it, the room went silent. It sounded like a voice, not speech, but tone, intention, something behind it that felt intelligent, a ripple of energy that vibrated in the bones more than the ears. Every scientist in the room looked at one another, waiting for someone else to speak first. No one did. So Leah said the thing everyone was afraid of. This didn't come from us. That same day, a private meeting was held in the White House Situation Room. Only 9 people were allowed inside. A single question was written on the briefing screen. What if we aren't alone and they found us first? Most leaders assumed the planet was behind in development. Primitive, maybe microbes, maybe early evolution. But Leah shook her head. She had run calculations all night, and the readings didn't match early civilization. They matched industrial activity, energy output, artificial light signatures. Someone on that planet had cities. Someone was advanced. Still, humanity wasn't going to panic the public. At least, not yet. So they formed a small classified team with one job: send a message back. Not friendly, not threatening, just a greeting. A scientific handshake across space. They sent the standard SETI broadcast, the same one humanity used for decades. Numbers, primes, mathematical patterns, proof that humans were thinkers. The broadcast was timed to reach the planet in 40 years at light speed. But before the team could relax, before they could even sleep, the telescope console lit up again. A second signal had returned. Instantly. as if the other planet didn't need to wait 40 years to hear it, as if they received the message faster than the laws of physics allowed. And this time, the message wasn't science. It was an image, a grainy, distorted frame that slowly resolved into a perfect photograph of Earth. Then it zoomed in, scrolling over continents, oceans, cities, until it focused on the exact location of the Deep Sky Array Observatory. Someone on that second Earth was watching humanity in real time. Everyone in the room froze. The silence was so heavy, it felt like gravity thickened. Leah zoomed in further, expecting distortion, interference, anything that could make sense. But no. The image was flawless. This was impossible. Signals couldn't travel faster than light. Unless the second Earth wasn't using radio waves. Unless they had something else. A scientist on the far end whispered, "Quantum entanglement, instant communication." And then he covered his mouth, as if he regretted saying it out loud. Humanity wasn't ahead. Humanity wasn't equal. Humanity was behind. That night, Leah drove home in silence. She sat in her car, engine off, staring at the city lights flickering on the horizon. Billions of humans living their normal lives, scrolling on phones, rushing to work, arguing over things that didn't matter, completely unaware that somewhere in the universe, another civilization already knew everything about them. She walked inside, turned on the news, and saw nothing. No leaks, no rumors, no panic. The world was unchanged. But her mind wasn't. She couldn't stop thinking about the signal, the image, the silence afterward. Like the planet wanted them to absorb the message before anything else. She tried to sleep, but her chest was tight and her thoughts wouldn't shut up. So she went back to the array facility after midnight, badge in hand, knowing she'd be the only one there. But she wasn't. The sensors were already active. Someone had reopened the monitoring systems. The signal feed was running live. And on the main screen, a new message was coming through. This time, it was not an image. It was text. 2 words. Clear. Perfect. Impossible. We remember. Leah felt every hair on her body stand straight. Remember what? How could someone on another planet remember Earth? How could a species millions or billions of years away know humans? Unless this wasn't first contact. This was a follow-up. Humanity had met them before. Nobody on Earth expected what the space probe would send next. The strange radio signal wasn't just noise. It had rhythm, patterns, mathematical structure. It didn't sound like nature. It sounded like intention. It sounded like someone was trying to speak back. People around the world stopped what they were doing. Even those who never cared about space suddenly cared. Imagine waking up to the news that we are not alone and that someone somewhere might be waiting for us. But scientists still didn't know who sent the signal or what it meant. Was it a greeting? A warning? A trap? The United Nations formed the biggest science team in human history. Dozens of countries shared data. Governments shared satellites. Even private companies joined. Nobody wanted to be left out. Because let's be honest, if there really was a second Earth out there, nobody wanted their neighbor getting there first. Meanwhile, the powerful space telescope orbiting the moon locked onto the mysterious planet. Suddenly, everything came into focus. Oceans, continents, mountains, clouds, weather systems. It wasn't just a rock, it was a living, breathing world. And then the telescope captured something nobody expected. Lights. Not natural light, artificial light. City-sized grids of illumination on the night side of the planet. Like someone, somewhere, had also learned how to control electricity and use it to create civilization. This was the moment everything changed. This was the moment humanity realized we're not the first. The world panicked and celebrated at the same time. News stations treated it like the second coming. Social media exploded. Some people prayed, some people screamed. Some people sold everything and waited for the end of the world. Fear and excitement fought in the streets. But in the middle of the chaos, scientists kept working. Weeks passed, and the unusual signal was finally decoded. Not fully, but enough to understand one thing. It was repeating a message every hour, a countdown. No one knew what the countdown meant. It could mean a first contact meeting, a warning, a deadline, or something far worse. Fear went through the scientific community like electricity. If another civilization was counting down, something was coming, and humanity had no idea whether to prepare or run. That's when the mission was approved. The world united to build humanity's most advanced spacecraft, capable of reaching the new planet faster than any ship ever designed. It wasn't symbolic anymore. It wasn't exploration. It was survival. If something was coming, humanity had to know what it was. The ship would be crewed by 5 people, scientists, trained astronauts, and one unexpected choice, a linguist, the best language decoder on Earth. Because if the message changed while the crew was in space, humanity needed someone who could understand it. Training was brutal. No one could afford mistakes. The media watched every second. Kids in schools learned the names of the astronauts like they used to learn the names of superheroes. Launch day came. The ship rose into the sky, engines burning white, the world watching with held breath. Parents held children close. Politicians cried on television. Students screamed with excitement. Even people who never cared about science suddenly realized they were witnessing the biggest moment in human history. As the ship entered deep space and left Earth behind, the astronauts looked out the window and saw their home, a small, bright blue dot floating in darkness. For the first time ever, humans weren't just leaving their world, they were going to someone else's. Weeks passed as they approached the second Earth. But something strange started happening on board. The countdown signal began changing. It wasn't repeating anymore. It was evolving, almost as if someone on the other end realized the humans were coming. The linguist worked nonstop, eyes red, hands shaking. At first, the changes looked random, but then she noticed something impossible. The signal was adjusting itself to match human mathematics. Someone, somewhere, was learning how we think. It was communication, in real time. Then she decoded the new transmission. One short sentence. 2 words. We see. Nobody slept that night. As the ship approached the new planet, every sensor began picking up signs of advanced technology, massive structures, electromagnetic fields, energy readings bigger than anything ever seen on Earth. Whoever lived there, they weren't primitive. They were ahead of us, way ahead. The astronauts prepared for first contact. They didn't know if they were about to land in peace or if the planet's inhabitants would see them as intruders. Humanity had dreamed of meeting aliens for thousands of years, and now 5 people were about to experience it face to face. But just before the landing, something happened that nobody expected. A burst of energy hit the ship. Communications went dead. Engines powered down, lights flickered, the astronauts grabbed their seats as alarms screamed. But they weren't crashing. They were being guided. Someone was pulling them gently toward the surface, as if saying, "You're not landing by yourself, we'll handle this." The planet filled the windows, blue oceans, green continents, swirling clouds, and just beyond the atmosphere, metal structures, towers, roads, cities. But even from orbit, something looked strange. The cities looked abandoned. Everything was intact, but nothing was moving. No ships, no air traffic, no lights turning on or off. It was like a perfect world frozen in time. The astronauts looked out in shock. The linguist whispered something nobody wanted to hear. What if they're not alive anymore? The ship touched down inside an enormous circular landing platform made of metallic stone. The doors opened. The air was breathable. The temperature was comfortable. Gravity was almost identical to Earth. Humanity had just stepped onto the first alien world that was truly like home. But as they walked through the still, silent alien city, they began noticing something horrifying. Every building, every street, every vehicle looked brand new. But there was nobody there. No bodies, no dust, no decay, just absence. A civilization that looked like it vanished overnight. Then they found the first message. Not carved, not painted, but floating, projected from alien technology, still running after who knows how many years. 3 chilling words. We tried warning. At that moment, the countdown in the ship ended, and something woke up beneath their feet. The ground beneath the astronauts vibrated like a living creature breathing for the first time in ages. Dust rose from the streets, buildings hummed. The air itself seemed to come alive. Nobody spoke, nobody even breathed. They all felt the same thing. Something ancient was waking up. The linguist tapped her earpiece, but there was nothing, no signal. The ship wasn't responding. The countdown on their displays had stopped at 0, but the message didn't vanish. Instead, a new projection flickered into existence in front of them. This one wasn't text, it was a star map, a diagram showing the alien planet on one side and Earth on the other. But there was something in between them. A third point, a massive object moving through the galaxy with a trajectory straight toward both worlds. The scientists stared at the display, unable to react. It wasn't trying to hide anything. The message was simple. There was something else in space, something headed for them. And the aliens had seen it first. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the empty streets. Artificial, synthetic, but emotional, not cold or robotic, almost like someone speaking through a memory. We watched the darkness spread. The astronauts froze. The voice was speaking English, but not spoken English. It was being translated in real time by incredibly advanced tech. We warned our people. We prepared. But the darkness came faster than we understood. One of the astronauts whispered, "Is this a recording?" Maybe, or maybe not. The voice continued. We ran, we hid, we waited. But the darkness was not a thing, it was alive. Before anyone could ask what that meant, part of the alien city came to life. Screens lit up across the silent skyline. Giant holographic structures ignited above the streets. The city was turning itself on to show the humans its final memories. And what they saw was horrifying. Images flickered through the air, alien figures running, alarms screaming, cities losing power, skies turning black. Something massive in space blocking out the stars. A wave of energy sweeping across the planet like a cosmic tsunami. The linguist's voice cracked. They were attacked. Not by another civilization, but by something that consumed civilizations. Then the voice spoke again. We learned too late. The darkness does not destroy planets. It consumes energy. Technology, knowledge, thought. We shut everything down to starve it. We put our world to sleep. That was the moment the astronauts realized this wasn't an abandoned planet. This was a planet in hiding, a world pretending to be dead. One astronaut whispered, "So why did they wake up now?" The answer came instantly. "Because you are here." The screens shifted. Now the projection showed Earth human cities glowing with power, satellites buzzing with radio signals, thousands of technological signatures lighting up like fireflies in the void. You led it to us. The astronauts felt their blood run cold. The realization hit them like gravity. Humanity's technology, their noise, their signals, their satellites had attracted something hungry, something ancient, something that didn't care who invented it. The linguist swallowed hard and asked the question everyone was thinking. "What is it?" The voice paused, and then answered, "The Voidborn." The city fell silent again. No more flickering holograms. No more message. Just wind brushing through alien streets. Nobody knew what to say. Nobody knew what to think. They had come expecting first contact, maybe diplomacy, maybe a friendly handshake across galaxies. Instead, they had stumbled into the aftermath of an attack from something beyond understanding. The ship finally reconnected, buzzing in their earpieces. A new signal had come through. The Earth science team was panicking, shouting over each other. Massive gravitational anomaly detected. Something just changed direction near deep space. It's accelerating. It's heading toward Earth. The astronauts looked at each other. Their hearts dropped. They were too far away to help, too far away to warn anyone in time. But before they could decide what to do next, the city changed again. A platform rose beneath their feet, lifting them gently into the air. Buildings around them shifted, opening like mechanical petals. The entire city was awakening not with life, but with purpose. "They're preparing," one astronaut whispered. "For what?" another asked. The answer appeared in glowing alien text, right in front of their faces. "We have one chance." The city's lights brightened. For the first time since they arrived, the sky changed. A shimmering shield, massive, circular, almost invisible, unfolded above the atmosphere. The alien world wasn't waiting to die again. It was preparing to fight. And then, the voice delivered one last message. "You have been found. If one world falls, all worlds fall." The astronauts stared at each other, barely breathing. The linguist whispered the only question that mattered. "How do we stop something that already destroyed a planet more advanced than us?" The voice responded, "You don't." A pause. "But together, maybe we can." The city's systems powered fully online. Energy pulsed through buildings, across streets, into the sky. The planet wasn't dead anymore. It was waking up to war. The astronauts realized something terrifying. First contact wasn't about greeting aliens. It was about joining a fight humanity didn't know existed. A fight against something in the dark, moving closer every second. The platform carried the astronauts higher into the air until they were floating hundreds of meters above the alien streets. From up here, they could see the entire city, awakening geometric structures shifting like puzzle pieces. Massive crystalline towers lighting up with flowing veins of power and sleek metallic conduits channeling energy toward the horizon. It looked like a dead civilization coming back to life after centuries of silence. But none of it felt like a celebration. It felt like a warning call. One astronaut whispered, "It's a planetary defense system." The linguist corrected him softly. "No, it's a resurrection." As the city's systems came online, the planet itself began to change. Miles away, sound barriers rippled across vast deserts. Forests unfolded metallic roots from beneath the soil. Oceans glowed with circuitry woven into the seafloor. Everything, plants, buildings, waterways, was part of a massive global network. This planet wasn't just inhabited, it was the machine. The voice spoke again, not from speakers, but everywhere at once, like the atmosphere itself had become a communication channel. "You seek understanding, knowledge, discovery. That instinct has brought great progress to your kind." The astronauts listened in silence, suspended in air. But the Voidborn feed on that same instinct. Every new signal, every technological advancement, every broadcast into space, it hears everything. The medic swallowed hard. "So we caused this?" "No," the voice said calmly. "You did not cause its existence. You only made yourselves visible." Below them, massive rail-like systems activated, stretching toward the horizon. The structures were too large to be weapons. They looked like planetary-scale launch systems. One of the astronauts pointed. "Are they preparing to evacuate?" The voice answered instantly. "There's nowhere left to flee." The realization stung. This planet had already tried running and failed. Instead, something else was becoming clear. This time, they were choosing to stand their ground. The platform suddenly lowered them into what looked like a massive central chamber somewhere deep within the capital. The walls were glass, but layered with alien symbols and celestial diagrams. It was a war room, but more advanced than anything humanity had ever built. At the center was a pulsating sphere of light, like a miniature star. "That," the linguist breathed, "is the planet's core intelligence." The voice responded, "We once lived in harmony with it, but in our fear, we shut it down." The medic frowned. "Why restart it now?" The sphere expanded, forming a holographic model of Earth, the alien planet. and behind them, both a massive dark object accelerating through deep space. We cannot defeat the Voidborn alone, and now, neither can you. The room fell silent. For the first time, the astronauts understood the real purpose of this contact. It wasn't diplomacy. It wasn't exploration. It was a call for alliance. The voice continued. We have spent 319 of your Earth years studying the Voidborn. We know its weaknesses. The hologram zoomed in on the dark mass, but we no longer have the resources to exploit them. Then the projection focused on Earth. Humanity did. The linguist stepped forward, her mind racing. So you woke up the entire planet just to ask for help? The lights flickered in acknowledgement. We woke because we sensed your presence, and because we could no longer hide. The medic crossed his arms. What happens if we work together? The voice didn't hesitate. We have a plan. The holographic projection transformed into something else, a massive structure between worlds, like a technological bridge or planetary shield. It wasn't designed to destroy the Voidborn, it was designed to trap it. One astronaut whispered, stunned, "You're trying to cage a cosmic predator." "It can be contained," the voice replied, "and once contained, erased." The captain stepped forward, voice low and steady. "What do you need from us?" For the first time, the voice paused long enough for the astronauts to feel the weight of the answer. "Your world must go silent." The team stared in shock. To hide from the Voidborn Earth would need to shut down everything. No communications, no satellites, no global networks, no civilization-scale signals of any kind, a total blackout. In a modern world, that was impossible. The medic murmured, "Humanity would never agree to that." The voice responded, "If it does not, Earth will fall, as we did." Suddenly, alarms blared. The chamber flashed red. The projection zoomed out to deep space. The object, the Voidborn, had changed speed again. This time, it was accelerating. Faster than physics should allow. Faster than anything built by life. One of the astronauts whispered, "It knows we're here." The voice confirmed, "It knows you are alive." The hologram showed trajectory lines intercept in weeks. Not years, not months, weeks. The astronauts' hearts pounded. The realization hit them like gravity. Humanity wasn't preparing for a threat. It was already in motion. And now, the alien system spoke directly to them. No longer a calm message, but a command. Prepare your world. Warn them. There is no time left. The chamber shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling. The city systems surged under immense power, straining to activate fully. The voice spoke once more. "We offer alliance, knowledge, weapons, strategy. A pause. But your species must make a choice." The projection shifted to show Earth again, beautiful, bright, alive, overwhelmingly visible. "Continue your broadcast to the stars." The image darkened. "Or survive." The platform moved downward, taking them back toward the city streets as the warning repeated across every surface. The Voidborn is coming. The astronauts looked at each other, horror and responsibility weighing on their shoulders. The captain exhaled slowly, voice shaking. "We came here to make contact." The linguist nodded. "We just didn't know the universe was already at war." And somewhere in deep space, the darkness kept moving. Faster, hungrier, closer. The ascent elevator dropped them gently back onto the metallic streets. Lights flickered across the city as the planetary system strained, defense grids rebooting, power conduits realigning, whole sectors of the alien world reawakening after centuries of silence. It was the sound of a civilization rising from its grave. But the voices of the astronauts were quiet, because every one of them knew the truth. They weren't just witnesses. They were now the messengers. As they walked, the linguist broke the silence first. Her voice was small, but every word carried weight. "How do we tell Earth something like this? Turn off the planet, or we all die." Who would listen? The medic shook his head. No one. Not at first. The captain stared out over the alien skyline, eyes hollow, which means we need proof, evidence, something so undeniable that every leader on Earth has no choice but to take us seriously. He wasn't wrong. Humanity had trouble listening even when the threat was right in front of them. How could anyone expect them to cooperate over something they had never seen, never experienced, never feared? But there was no alternative. The voice of the alien intelligence returned soft, calm, almost gentle. We will transmit you records of our last stand. The battles, the losses, the disappearance of our sun, the screams of entire cities as they vanished. Data began downloading into their suits, not digitally, but through some kind of sensory transfer. They felt it rather than received it, like memories being poured directly into their minds. Images, sounds, moments. Whole populations standing on balconies, silently watching stars flicker out, worlds collapsing into darkness without a single shot fired, planets going quiet. The astronauts staggered under the weight of it. The medic dropped to one knee, overwhelmed. They tried. They really tried. The voice answered. We believed intelligence alone would save us. We were wrong. Survival requires something more. The captain clenched his fists. Unity. Yes. Outside, the sky changed color, a deep violet wave sweeping across the upper atmosphere. The alien systems were accelerating planetary shielding. Time was running out. The platform began guiding them back toward the landing site where their shuttle waited, hovering silently on a magnetic field, untouched. But something was different now. Their trip out had been exploration. Their return was a countdown. The voice addressed them one last time before departure. You came searching for life among the stars. A pause. We are giving you the chance to keep your own. The captain glanced back at the glowing spires of the city. We'll warn Earth. We'll make them understand. The voice softened a hint of something close to sadness. We hope you succeed, because if your world falls, there will be no third chance. The shuttle doors slid open. The engines hummed, the only sound not made by the planet itself. The astronauts strapped in, their faces pale, their hearts racing. As they ascended, they saw the planet-wide systems fully activate. Atmospheric shields, massive energy grids, deep ocean generators fueling the war effort. This entire world was arming itself against a cosmic predator, and Earth had no idea. When they reached orbit, their ship aligned for the return transit window. The captain looked once more at the alien world, filling the viewport. We thought we were alone, he whispered. The linguist shook her head. No, we just never asked the right questions. The warp engine surged. Space bent around them. And in that final instant, before the stars snapped into streaks of light, their ship's sensors caught something. A massive dark shadow moving through interstellar space, silent, cold, and accelerating toward Earth. The Voidborn. It wasn't coming. It was already almost here. The ship jumped to faster-than-light travel, leaving behind the silent alien planet, preparing for a war that Earth hadn't even noticed. Inside the cockpit, the captain finally spoke. Humanity won't believe us. The linguist exhaled. They will when the sky changes. He nodded, and when it does, we need to be ready. The stars stretched into white lines. Time folded. The ship disappeared into space, racing home with a warning that could decide the fate of two civilizations. Because the universe had just revealed its darkest truth. Humanity wasn't ahead of the future. It was already running behind it. If you want to know what happens when the astronauts return and whether Earth listens before it's too late, subscribe and watch the next story popping up on your screen right now.